Hi, I can see you back again to another true crime story. Today will be about Kylie Rodni.
When you leave your heart in San Francisco and cut eastward across Northern California toward Lake Tahoe and Nevada, take note at mile 120 or so, right as Interstate 80 begins the climb into the Sierra, there is a pit stop and an off-ramp into a different century. Auburn is a place where everyone knows everyone, and few ever question law enforcement. So when 10 non-suicidal people over a short period of time turned up dead, either crushed by trains or drowned in the canals, nobody said much at all. It was all too easy not to be too curious about people without a lot of social status. Was Auburn the proverbial town without pity? Or more likely, did folks just not realize the degree to which each of these dead people was someone's somebody? An inconsolable sister, Carrie, knows her college grad iconoclastic brother Matt, an avid swimmer, never would have willingly gone into a canal wearing 3 pairs of pants. The cops quickly, sometimes within hours, dubbed all the canal and train track deaths as either accidental or suicides. They did little, if any, investigation, but often claimed the contrary. Ronnie Daniel Jr. had a job and a home. He was out bowling with buddies one summer night and had picked up some items at the store, carried in his backpack, including food for his cat, Monsoon. He frequently walked alongside the tracks, the shortest route from downtown Auburn to his house. He was lying with his head on the rail when the train decapitated him. His mother, Judy, was awakened by a knock on her door.
Sheriff arrived at my front door.
What time of day?
7:30 in the morning. And he requested to talk to me, and I was a little shocked. It's like, what would the sheriff be here for? And then I got up and asked him what he needed, and I was at the top of the stairs, so I was just talking to him from there. And he told me there'd been an accident with my son, Rodney. And I asked him if he was okay, and he told me no, he was deceased. It took me a couple of seconds to collect my thoughts, and I was sobbing uncontrollably, and I asked him what happened, and he told me that it was an apparent suicide. Shouldn't make any sense, but at the time I was trying to process it all. So.
Of course. And when you heard suicide, this was just how many hours after the supposed suicide did they determine it was a suicide? I mean, how long had this happened before they decided it was a suicide? Until they reached you?
Well, they said that this whole situation happened at 10:30 at night.
The night before.
The night before. And then they were telling me this at 7:30 in the morning. So what, 9 hours?
And did you say, how do you know it was a suicide?
No, I think my reaction was, oh my God. I didn't know what else to say. And then after that, then the officer asked, and I asked him some other, I didn't, just vague questions, and he said he didn't have any other information. And then he left. So I was just standing, I couldn't believe any of it. It was just crazy.
And of course, all of us fear that moment when a sheriff or someone comes to the door and asks to speak to you because is it going to be the death of a loved one, etc. When you heard suicide, in your experience with your son, had there ever been anything about him that suggested to you he would take his own life?
Absolutely not. Ronnie was, he was a great kid. He kind of liked himself a lot. He was a handsome boy, and he always has to tell you how good looking he was. And so, no, he liked himself too much.
Judy and her former husband, Ronnie Sr., went to the funeral home, where they were told they could only view their son's hands and lower forearms. They clearly saw huge, glaring bruises on both sets of knuckles, but no other injuries on those hands and lower arms.
I knew it. I said, no, those are fighting wounds. He was fighting with somebody. They're only his knuckles, and it's not anywhere else.
Did you go to law enforcement and tell them what you did?
Absolutely, we did. We were immediately. We called and demanded to see them, and they sent an officer out. And he sat there. He was a little. He seemed like he was just like we were wasting his time because he didn't really seem like he wanted to talk to us. And it's like, so we asked him, what more do you have? Where did you come to this conclusion that this is what's happened to him?
How did they conclude that it was suicide?
Right, exactly.
How they reached that?
How did you reach that conclusion?
And did you assume at this point that they had done some sort of investigation at the scene or talked to people that he knew? And did you assume they?
Well, I would have assumed that because basically, you think about it. How did they come up with suicide? They had to have looked at something to actually determine that. And so, I asked him, I said, well, I want to know how you come up with that. Because I already know that's not something Ronnie would do. And then that's when he tells me, well, your son had a record.
I'm laughing because that has no relevance to anything. And
I was so stunned. I just told him, I said, what does that have to do with
And
anything?
he had been in some fights and got into a little bit of trouble,
Yes,
but
he did.
nothing big, no
No.
felonies, nothing like that.
No.
So, so your sense was that this sheriff's deputy, I'm guessing, right, was telling you that because your son had a misdemeanor record for getting in some fights, that somehow he killed himself or deserved to die. Did you just feel like you were getting the brush off?
That's exactly the way I felt. I asked him that. I said, because he has a record, does that mean he deserved to die? And he's like, well, no parent likes to admit that their child has committed suicide. And it's like, this guy was starting to get under my skin at this point.
He wasn't really answering your question.
No, he wasn't. He was tap dancing. And then I asked him about the hands. And I said, I want you to go out there and I want you to look at Ronnie's hands. I said, those are defensive wounds. And he says, well, maybe they're offensive wounds. I'm like, what difference does it make?
Whatever it is, those wounds would indicate that he ended up on those tracks not because of any suicidal act, but that there's somebody else involved.
There was something involved. And I asked him to go look at his hands. I said, I want you to go over there and I want you to look. And he says, well, we have pictures, so I'm not going to do that. And at this point, I already knew this. We weren't going anywhere with this guy. They'd already made their determination, and they were not going to go any farther with it.
The only thing he said to you was, your son had a misdemeanor record or had a record for some fights, and no parent wants to admit that their child committed suicide. And basically, that was how they determined it was suicide. There's no explanation of how they made their determination.
Not one thing did they tell me that actually came to that conclusion. I think that was all on them. They made that determination themselves, and they weren't going to listen to anything else.
Ronnie's friends who had gone bowling with him that night said he was upbeat, fun, drinking beer, and had some poison oak on the top of his hands, but no bruises.
If he noticed that, he would have noticed those bruises. Those bruises were very significant.
And he saw him before, so...
Right, and he said that there was no bruises on his hand, definitely.
Judy describes the backpack and its contents.
The backpack he had went shopping and he bought some cat food for his cat. And he had a roll of paper towels and he had a half a beer. There was a girl at der Wiener Schnitzel. He stopped there and got him some cheese fries. And she had seen him there, and we found a receipt in his pocket too. There was a receipt, that's right. There was a receipt in his pocket that told us exactly what time he was there. It was at 8:17.
So 8:17, he's getting some food, some cheese fries, and who doesn't love those?
Yes,
At the Wiener Schnitzel.
Absolutely.
And what time did the sheriff's department tell you the train hit him?
They said 10:30.
The case about Kylie Rodni. She was a 16-year-old girl. She loved singing songs, and she was clever. She graduated with honors. She attended before all this. She lived with her mum in, it was like a nice cabin, you can say, where they'd done bed and breakfast for the holiday makers to come for a break, because it was nice, peaceful and quiet. And it was near Prosser Lake. Right. Kylie attended a party, graduation party. After the real graduation party, she went. She had friends. She had Sammy Smith, Megan. That was it. Sammy Smith and Megan. Apparently the party started to get big and rowdy. After that happened, when it started to get big and rowdy, apparently Sammy said that her and Kylie shared drinks together, went everywhere together. And when they went separate ways just for a little bit, they still met up together. Anyway, it was getting a bit rowdy. Megan went, and then after a little while, Sammy left, Sammy Smith. She got a ride and she left. After she left, or before she left, Kylie called her mum and said she was gonna be a bit late. The mother said, okay, and she said, I love you, and Kylie replied, okay. When Sammy left, second day, mother woke up and she didn't find Kylie. She went to see Kylie near Starbucks, because that's what they said they're gonna meet. Kylie wasn't there because Kylie was going to go on a camping trip with her friends, but she was nowhere to be seen. Few hours later, the mother called the police, reporting Kylie missing. The second day, they started a search party. Police.
Kylie is one of my close friends. We met through mutual friends, and we became closer in the past year to coming months recently, and she is just a light in a lot of people's lives. She's wonderful. She's smiling all the time. She's caring. She's beautiful. She's there for anybody who has ever needed her. She's very outgoing. She's outdoorsy too. She loves the water. She loves to sing. Her voice is just amazing too. And she's just a beautiful girl, and we all miss her a lot. And so I've been not in charge, but I've taken on the responsibility of trying to get in contact with everybody at that party. I've posted teen meetups, teen to teens, where there's no adults, no parents, and no media coverage. Everybody stays anonymous, and everybody does not get, everybody is just talking teen to teen. We have interviewers, only about 7 or 8 of us, and that's the limit we're trying to keep it at, to keep the information kind of in a simple one source area that we can go to. And we've moved locations, multiple, trying to make things more convenient in the Tahoe area, in the Truckee area. We've held one last night, and then we held one tonight, and we had a lot of teens come out today and explain things. It's just a way for teens to not feel the pressure of getting in trouble by their parents, or to feel like the cops are going to get them in trouble, or to feel that the media will spread their face all over the internet.
And then police held a press conference saying that Kylie was missing. She was 16 years old. They were looking everywhere. 2 weeks after, they were scaling back the search. Before those 2 weeks, Avengers AWP made an announcement that they were going to come.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. This is a formal announcement that we will be coming to work the Kylie Rodni case upon request. Make no mistake, and make no mistake whatsoever, that we hope and we pray that Kylie is found prior to our arrival. Please do not misunderstand that. You know, for security purposes, unfortunately, I cannot disclose which agencies we will be assisting, so please respect that as we respect those agencies' wishes.
2 weeks passed. Adventures with Purpose come. Within 30 minutes, Avengers AWP found Kylie Rodni with her car in the lake.
Time is 10:41. We are now on Prosser Creek Reservoir. This is, according to law enforcement, Kylie's last known location. So we're looking for a silver vehicle. Her Honda CR-V is silver in color. Helicopters have stated that they could see the bottom of this reservoir. We've had multiple different extreme levels of sonar utilized by different sonar teams in this reservoir. I'm confident in what they've done. However, and not to sound cocky, but if we haven't searched it, it hasn't been searched. That's our motto, so that we stay efficient and protect the integrity of everything we do as we're working for families and law enforcement. This just got sent to me. I cannot name who did, but it says, the Truckee Facebook missing persons groups are on fire with speculation about what happened to Kylie. Thing is that some of it may not be speculation. It may be real clues as to what happened. The party, 200 plus, fact is there was a lot of drinking and drugging. Reported fights, some disturbing behavior between Kylie and a girl named minutes before the party suddenly breaking up. And then cars started flying out of the parking lot. Something bad happened and all the kids' parents told them not to get involved. You may want to keep in mind that there's a possibility of what happened to Kylie could be more sinister, and there was a panic.
Go by it a couple times, there's something creating a big shadow right there. So we're gonna go, it's right off this point. If they scanned it, how would they miss that? So I'm assuming it's nothing because they did have dive teams, but I don't want to be the guy that just says, oh, it's nothing because it doesn't look like a car.
Hey Doug, Devin over here. We may have something. It's hard to tell.
Live scope doesn't work, so it's hard to verify, but we're definitely getting a solid cast shadow.
Where are you at?
It's to, I sent the coordinates to Carson, but we're on the, shoot, is this the eastern part of the shore? I don't know. We're by the other boat ramp, not the one that you guys went towards, but the one at the top of the lake.
Is that what you just saw?
Yeah. So it's just a big shadow there. You see that?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense though. It's only 10 feet of water. We definitely have something man-made. Big.
It's probably nothing, but it was a big shadow.
It's something.
Isn't that weird? I mean, it's just big.
It's definitely something. Directly under us right now. What is that, Carson? Is that a boat? Or is that an SUV? Whatever it is, it has build-up on it. Could be a car. More in the shape of a boat. And I'm seeing similarities that show build-up, which we shouldn't have build-up on this car. It's only been 2 weeks.
It looked like an upside-down sunken boat.
Possibly. Could be a boat. It's something though. I believe it's a car. This is absolutely a crime scene. It's an active investigation. Our job is to be here to find the where, which we have done. Now we need to assess it appropriately. Full assessment, condition of the vehicle, windows up or down. Do not remove license plate like we normally do.
Copy that. I'm going to start my descent. I see a pair of shoes at the back
10-4. I read you loud and clear.
I just confirm there are human remains in the vehicle. Over.
Yep. That's what we do it for, brother. Good job. Good job. It's positive, you know? All right.
She's in the back of the vehicle.
Okay.
She's not in the driver's seat. It looks suspicious to me.
Yeah.
Right there with the red thing?
Yes, sir.
How in the could they have missed it? That's impossible.
And in our investigation coming into this, this is just what we do. We find vehicles underwater. We specialize in it.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know what you guys know, and you know we don't always know the why. We just try to find the where, and that's why I can't relate with whatever you're speaking on right now.
Upside down?
The car is upside down, but that's common when a car goes into water because the wheels make it buoyant.
And the windows are closed, probably.
All of the windows except for one. Yes.
One's halfway down.
Which one?
One's all the way down.
So Nick is my diver.
Which
He-
window's up or down?
The, what was it?
Driver rear.
Driver rear was down and the passenger rear was halfway.
Is she seatbelted in?
No,
Is she in the driver's seat?
no,
She's not.
no.
She's
Is she in the back?
She's in the back.
Yes.
I would recommend.
Get out.
It's your daughter. This your daughter. Dude. Do what you want to do. I would recommend this is not a part of that. This.
See this.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be my last
Don't.
hurricane.
I'm Doug.
Okay.
Who are you with?
Corey.
Who are you with?
We believe out of the 200 to 300 juveniles and young adults who were at that party, somebody must know something.
Before they found Kylie in the lake and before Avengers, AWP came, her ex-boyfriend, Jagger Westfield, was looking for Kylie as well. Then AWB came and they found Kylie within 30 to 40 minutes. They found her. Then they said, now we found her. We called the parents, then we called the law enforcement.
she's very outgoing. She's outdoorsy too. She loves the water. She loves to sing.
Right. I know what I think of this case. I would love to hear what you think about this case. Please leave your comments down below. And please like and subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Bye.